Well, welcome in this afternoon. Look what I've got. Look what I've got. Strawberries. Fresh strawberries. You know what that means? Fresh strawberry pie. Yummy, yummy. I dripped a little bit of water here. I gotta get that up. Y'all welcome in. If you're new, I'm Lynn the Crafty Cook. If you've been here a while, welcome back. That's right, today we're going to make a fresh strawberry pie. This is a recipe that I got from my first grade teacher. It's probably been around for forever. There's probably a bunch of y'all going, I make that very same pie. It's not anything special, but for me it kind of is because it came from my first grade teacher, right? And she was a wonderful teacher. We lived in a small community, and she kept up with all of us for many, many years. Even after we had graduated high school, she would call once or twice a year and find out how we were, what we were doing, this, that, and the other. And then she'd send out a little newsletter to everybody. And it was just way back before Facebook or anything like that. And we got to keep up with each other that way. So that kind of made it interesting and fun. And that's just something she chose to do for us. So, first of all, let's get started on our pie crust because it takes a pre-baked crust, and then we'll do our filling because it needs to chill, and then we'll put it all together. Okay, for the pie crust, I make a basic sweet pie crust, and it says we need 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, and actually her recipe says white lily flour, which that's what I use. So let me grab something to sift this real quick. Okay, here's 1 cup of flour. And here's 1/2 cup. And then we need 1.5 tablespoons of sugar. Got this big old sugar thing here. There's 1.5 tablespoons of sugar. 1/2 of a teaspoon of salt. The oven's ready, whether we are or not. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. 6 tablespoons of butter. Unsalted butter because we added salt. First, let's do this. All right, there's our flour. Isn't it pretty? I think sifted flour is so pretty. It's got such a pretty, just looks like snow. Okay, now we need 6 tablespoons of butter. And this is cold butter, and that's what you want. And I'm just cutting it and tossing it in here because we're going to take a pastry blender or your hands. I like to use a pastry blender because your hands tend to melt it. You don't really want it melted. So 6 tablespoons of butter and 2 tablespoons of Crisco. You can do all butter if you prefer. But there again, it gets a little melty. Throw that over there. Let me grab out a tablespoon here. Okay, now we're going to add 2 tablespoons of Crisco. Got my little spatula here, hoping to be able to get all that out. Got that one. Let me get another one here. You know, Loretta Lynn always cooked with Crisco. Okay, we got 6 tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of Crisco, 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1.5 tablespoons of sugar, a half a teaspoon of salt, and we're just gonna do this right here. See, I'm just kind of rolling this cutter across here. You just want to kind of go around and around your bowl. Knock that off. Just gonna keep going like this. And if you do not have a pastry blender, like I said, you can use your hands, or you can use a potato masher. I'm going to show y'all how to do that. Potato masher works too. Potato masher works great too. Potato masher does a wonderful job of this. If you want it to kind of get crumbly, just kind of be. So see, it does the same thing as a pastry blender. You just want to kind of get it all together, get that butter mixed in with that flour. So they both work equally well. So if you've got one and not the other, that's fine. I'll go back to this one because it's just a little. Fits my hand a little better than a potato masher. All right, now then. Now then, we're going to add ice water. And that's the secret to see how it's just like crumbly. It's not like a soft flour anymore. It's real crumbly. Now this is where I get my hands in here, y'all. And it says to add up to 5 tablespoons. That's what she says. Of ice water. So we're going to add them 1 tablespoon at a time. Here I've got ice water. I'm just going to drizzle it across the top. See, it'll just start coming together, see? Y'all see down in my bowl? I've got y'all at a different angle today. I don't know if y'all can see down in my bowl or not. Let's see. Now maybe y'all can see down in that bowl good. It's going to drizzle a little bit more. And I'm just stirring it with my hand real easy right here. Just real easy. Stir, stir, stir. You want it to come together and make a dough. Okay? But the more you work it, the tougher it's going to be. Okay? So you don't want it tough. You may need a little bit more water. That might be enough. This recipe is for 1 pie crust. Okay? And that's perfect. Okay? That's what you want right there. Just a ball of dough. Right like that. Alrighty. Now then, it says to chill this for 30 minutes up to 2 days. Okay? So we are going to, I'm going to move these strawberries. I can rinse my fingers off. I'm going to stick it in the refrigerator. And then we'll get our other parts of our pie together, okay? Okay, I'm going to turn y'all up just a little bit. I'm trying to get y'all to see me and the pot. Okay, I think we're good. So for the glaze that goes over our strawberries, and it also has to chill before, otherwise you'll cook strawberries. You don't want that. Strawberry jello, cornstarch, sugar, and water. That's all it is. 1 cup of water. I'm just using what was left from my pie crust. 1 cup of sugar. Cup of water, cup of sugar, 4 tablespoons of strawberry jello, and I think that's also equivalent to a small box, which I have a large box. 4 tablespoons. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 tablespoons of jello. Whew, kind of went up my nose. And 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. 1, 2. Now then, we're going to cook this slowly. I've got on a big eye, which I don't like to do, but it's on when y'all can see. Okay? Down just a little bit. Maybe you see me in that, I hope. Okay. I'm going to grab me out a little whisk here. Right here. Just going to start whisking that, whisking, whatever. And it will become clear. It won't look milky, and it will start to thicken. When it does, you set it back off over here. And let it cool. There again, you cannot add cornstarch to anything hot. It will lump. So you just put everything in here while it's cool and let it cook. And start to thicken. I'm going to put it over here on this corner of this eye so I can not burn my hand, because the eye is bigger than my pot, way bigger than my pot. Okay. Let that cook there just a little bit. When we get this done, then we'll get our pie crust out. We'll bake it. Then we'll get it out, let it cool, cut up our strawberries in it. Or while it's cooling, we'll cut up our strawberries and get them ready to go in it. And then you pour this over and you put it in the refrigerator. It's really simple, but there's a lot of wait time in the middle. Do this, do that, chill, do this, chill, do that, chill. So let cool. But it's an easy pie to make. You can do it with peaches. You can do it with blueberries. You can do strawberries and blueberries. I like the peach just as well as I do the strawberry, made with fresh peaches. Trying to think of what else. Any kind of fresh fruit that you can find a jello to go with. Or if you're using frozen fruit, you use the juice off of the fruit rather than the water in this. And it just adds a little extra flavor. Trying to think of what else I've done. I've done blueberries, because you can get blueberry jello. I have done strawberries, peaches. What kind of fruits could you use? Just about anything. Use your imagination and come up with your own fruit mixtures and so forth. While this cooks, I'll join back in with our autism story. This will be number 5. We had him back in middle school, I think, and he was doing well. But we're seeing little bits of aggression come back. But it wasn't when he was home with us, it was at school. We had a run-in on the special needs bus with another family. He went after a little girl. We ended up in court with a restraining order against him and that little girl. But they couldn't be within 100 feet of each other. It was just a mess. I never could believe why another special needs family would sue a special needs family for something like that. When I was as apologetic as I could be, I was concerned about the child. I was very, I did everything I could within my power. I don't know what she expected. She had, what she expected, the mother expected me to do when I had, I wasn't there. I did not control the situation. But that's one of our hurdles. We were taken to court. He did not understand why we were there. He had not a clue in the world. And after that, I never put him back on a school bus. That was my choice. I just didn't think it was safe for him or anybody else. From there, we went on to high school. High school years were great. They were some of his best years. He made friends. I said in an earlier video something about the softball team. Softball team loved him. He was their little mascot, kind of, for a couple years. So he made lots of friends that way, and just friends in general at school. This little girl finally did come up to high school, but we never had any more trouble. Never had a bit of trouble out of them. And then after high school, he graduated. They couldn't go back to school until they're 22, to the year that they turned 22. Okay, that was right before COVID. And he had decided then that he didn't want to go to school anymore anyway. He just didn't want to get up in the mornings. He didn't want to go to school. So I didn't force the issue. So he's been at home since then. But we've had ups and downs. I'm going to backtrack. During middle school, we found out he had scoliosis. He had a couple of surgeries on his knee at Shriners Hospital. They were wonderful to him, as I'm sure they probably are to every child that walks through those doors. I remember the first surgery, they brought him out, and he ripped off all the bandages, blood squirting, him trying to bite, kick, scream, squall, everything to get out of there to go home. It took several orderlies, several nurses, doctors, mom and daddy, everybody trying to hold him down so we could wrap his leg back up so he wouldn't bleed out, But we got that done. We went back ever so often till we were sure that he was grown and it wasn't going to curve anymore. And he's done fine with that. I've got one more big story to tell. Like I said, we were doing great here at home without any trouble. And this is starting to thicken just a little bit. It's boiling. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. But as he stayed home, he became more and more aggressive toward Mama and Daddy, and that was not good. At one point, I was like, I won't be home with him. I won't stay at home with him. I can't. I won't. I don't know what to do. He would bite, kick, scream, everything. The least little thing would set him off. Like, no clean underwear. And he has like 500 pair of underwear. It's a little exaggeration, but he just couldn't find any. And he attacked me one day. So things like that. And it was not a good situation. But as time went on, he became more and more aggressive, which was not good. He also was with a friend, and it was during COVID, and we were just going to ride around through the drive-thru and get a bite to eat, get out for a little bit. He attacked me. We finally got stopped. He jumped out the window and ran into a restaurant. From there, he ran out of that restaurant into another restaurant. And from there, the police were called. The EMS was dispatched. We took him to the hospital because I had been bitten. I had been beat up. It was not pretty, to say the least. I still wear those scars on the outside and on the inside. And from there, he spent a week in the hospital in ICU. They wouldn't listen to me when I said we need a neurologist. This is not a controlled behavior that he chooses to do. There's a reason for this. I had to go to court and get emergency conservatorship papers because I had just not done that. He was just a little over 18 at the time, about 20 years old. And that was on my to-do list, but I just had not gotten a chance to do it. He spent 5 days, 4-point restraints, completely naked on a bare mattress in ICU, nothing to eat or drink. Needless to say, this mama was not a happy mama. That has been taken care of, so don't come back and say, oh, but you should have done this or that. Trust me, the situation was handled. But the reason for that behavior was a medication that he was on for his seizures had become toxic to him. And they were continuing to give it through IVs because they wouldn't call a neurologist. And finally, when I got a neurologist in there, they said, let's check some levels of things. And when they did, they realized that. And he's been good for several years since without any trouble. So I'm going to leave y'all right there. We'll come back with 1 or 2 more little stories along the way. But can y'all see how this is getting clear now? It no longer looks... See how clear it is? It no longer looks cloudy. Doesn't that look pretty in there? Looks real pretty, doesn't it? Looks real, real pretty. And as it thickens, then I will set it off back here and let it cool. Then we'll roll out our crust, get it in the oven. So it can bake. I'm just going to turn that off and let that sit there. And we're going to go ahead and fix it. Okay, we're going to get our pie crust ready now. I've got my flour sack towels. Y'all know they're flour sack towels. And they've got their flour on them. I'm trying to see if I've got enough sprinkled across here. I think we might could use a little bit more. A little bit more. Because I want it to be covered very well. Alright, I believe that'll do it. Smooth it out good. Now then, our dough has been chilled. You know, it's cooling in there. So I'm going to try to make it out a flat circle. Right like this. Oh, and I need to get out my rolling pin. This poor old rolling pin. It's been around the world. I don't know if y'all remember. Some of you probably do. Remember the old Tupperware rolling pin that you filled with ice water. Do y'all remember those? I think my mama still had one. And you want to make this into a circle as best you can. Just roll it out right like this. Like I said, you want it in a circle because the pie's in a circle, right? I know, our pie's in a circle. Here we go. I believe that'll about make us a pie crust. Can y'all see the bits of butter in it? Look at it. Can y'all see it? I'm going to bring it down here. Maybe you can see. Y'all see these bits of butter right here? Y'all see that? That's going to make this a yummy, yummy, yummy pie crust. Lots of butter. Butter, 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 butter. All right, now then, I'm going to roll this right here like this. See how easy that comes up on that tea towel? So, lay it right there. And then just unroll it. Right like this. And let's see if we can square it up here a little bit. Here we go. Right like this. See how easy that is to make a pie crust? Just let that fall down in there. Just fall down in around just like that. And it'll just form up to your thing here. And then, grab it. Here's my knife. I'm going to cut some of it off. A little bit around here. And then we're going to fold it under and make our edge pretty. Then we're going to put it in the oven and bake it. And I do not use pie weights. I do not use beans or rice. I just prick the bottom of it. When I was a little girl, I remember going home and poke holes in the pie crust with a fork, Mama. That was the fun part. Here we go. Here you go. You just want to put that, just turn it under. And then you come back in here like this. Just pinch it. Makes a pretty edge on your crust. Just like that. I just use 1, 2 fingers, 3 fingers, just like that. Just like this. You can buy all these pretty little wheels and things like that to make pretty edges on your pie crust. If it's something that I'm just going to eat, I just do this. Just like this. 2 fingers on one hand and 1 on the other. Just like this. Come around there. Kind of just like this. But like I said, we're going to eat this pie. Let me grab me a fork. And you want to bake this for 20 minutes at 375 degrees. You're just making a pre-baked pie crust. That's what you're doing. If you don't have time to make a pie crust, don't want to make your own pie crust, or whatever the case may be, buy you a frozen pie crust and bake it. Buy you a roll-out pie crust, put it in your pan and bake it, and let them think you made the whole thing. Whatever's easiest for you, do it. This pie is easy to do. I just wanted to make a crust, plus I didn't have a crust and had flour and butter, so there you go. A lot of times I use what I have, and so I'm going to pop this in the oven. Have some on the bottom of it. And bake it at 375 for 20 minutes, or until it's golden brown. And then we're going to let it cool before we add our strawberries. Okay, so I'll baked it and cooled it before I come back, okay? Okay, we're going to put our pie together. Here's our pie crust. No, it is not the pie crust that we made in the beginning. That one, the sides, I didn't have it mashed real hard to the edges of the pie plate, and they fell in. Just fell in on top of it. So I had to make another crust, same way, same recipe, same everything, just a different pan. And this time I pushed it down, okay? But it did come apart a little bit, but that's okay. We cook for taste, not always for looks. We want it to look pretty, but we don't always. We cook for taste. And I have sliced up our strawberries. This will probably be this is not as deep a pie pan as the other one. That's okay. There's a couple of strawberries I did not get cut up, but I don't believe I'll need them. Let's put our sliced berries in here, and I used the slicer. I used this, you all the same thickness that way. Just one ka-ching. Let me rinse it off, and I'll show you how I did them. Took the water off of it. Okay, you can see this. Just lay that in there. Boom. They're all the same thickness there. So that's the way I did the berries, so that they're all the same. I'm going to fill this up to the top. Just like this. There's a couple more we could cut, but I believe our bowl will be full. Our pie crust will be full. We grab us a spatula. And here's our filling. It has cooled. Let's get y'all back just a little bit so you can see in here. All right, we're just going to pour this over it just like this. We'll cover all of our strawberries. Just like this. Turn the light back on. Right like this. And this calls for a quart of strawberries. I did not measure them. I just filled my pie pan. But that was just about right there. Now then, we're going to cool this. We can either serve it with ice cream or whipped cream, either one, whatever you desire. Excuse me. That's going to be all for this one. Remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss a video. And that's going to be all for this one. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye for now.